Hello, everybody. We start tonight here in Southwest Houston on the scene of a deadly crash. It happened during a police chase. Police tell us that the driver, a woman behind the wheel of that car, almost ran into the back of a police car. At another scene, take a look at this video. You can see the crashed car here on McHard Road. This happened again during a police chase. Police, they are still investigating this crash. Tonight here, McHard Road, it is shut down because of the amount of officers here at this scene. That's the latest from here. The rest of the news, it starts right now.
Snails, as big as your hand, are invading neighborhoods around Houston. Why Texas Parks and Wildlife want them to go away.
A traffic nightmare backed up cars on I-10 for hours this weekend. TxDOT says it's emergency road work and it's not over yet.
Plus, what was once the cheapest cut of meat is going for prime prices, while the cost of brisket is on the rise. First tonight, it is hot and it is humid outside, but by this time tomorrow, we're going to start feeling some very welcome changes.
That is because of a low front, cold front, unexpected, could be headed our way. David Paul says it could be record low temperatures. He's outside tonight. David, what are you tracking?
It's true. As strange as it sounds, we're forecasting a cold front to arrive tonight here in the month of July. Now, it's going to get more comfortable, but here are the three top things I think you'll notice with this change in the weather pattern. Number one, humidity. It is going to drop. So if you have to work outside, at least for the next couple of days, it's going to be a lot easier on your body. Number two, this north wind, which is going to bring in the lower humidity, is also going to bring in pollen. I checked. To our north, cedar, weed, and grass pollen is low to moderate, and that may kick off your allergy symptoms as the pollen comes in. Third thing, and this is a long shot, but we'll see. It is possible, if things get comfortable enough tomorrow evening, that they may be able to open the roof at Minute Maid. Now, I understand they've never been able to open the roof at Minute Maid in the month of July, so if it happens, this may be a one-off that we would all happily take. That would be cool. Coming up, I've got the exact timing on the wind shift and the temperature drop and the humidity drop where you live, coming up in a couple of minutes.
Thanks, David. We are looking forward to it. Heads up for folks in Katy. The city is asking you to conserve water due to the heat and lack of rain. That means limit watering your lawn and washing your cars.
More charges could be filed in the case of a man who investigators say was so drunk last night he drove the wrong way on the West Park Tollway for at least a mile before crashing into a Harris County deputy's patrol car. Prosecutors tell us if they find out Patrick KHOU had been overserved at a bar, those at the business could be prosecuted. The 39-year-old is charged with felony murder after a man in the back of the patrol car was killed in the crash. Two deputies were hurt. One is already out of the hospital, but the other has a concussion and will likely stay overnight. Now, wrong-way crashes like these are rare. They only make up for about 1% of all traffic crashes in Texas. That's still about 240 times each year across the state. Now, most of them, they happen in Houston. As you can see from these numbers from 2017, 138 wrong-way crashes in Houston that year, followed by Dallas, San Antonio, Austin, and Fort Worth. And not surprisingly, alcohol is a factor in about 70% of those crashes. So what can be done to stop it? Well, TxDOT says they've added extra signage and bright red reflective tape on signs and on the road to warn drivers they're about to go the wrong way. They are also adding a detection system that includes flashing LED signs that say, "Do not enter" and "wrong way." But if that doesn't stop the driver, TransStar will get an alert so they can let law enforcement know quickly.
TxDOT is admitting tonight it could have done a better job of warning people about road work that caused a traffic mess on I-10 over the weekend. It happened in the eastbound lanes between Sealy and Brookshire. Some drivers telling us it was the worst traffic jam they'd ever been in. Think about that. Larry Seward went to find out what happened.
Drivers blocked by brake lights for miles.
The DPS was pulling and arresting and giving tickets. People were desperate.
Paved illegal detours on I-10 near the Brazos River all weekend.
we certainly can do better.
But it's TxDOT apologizing for warnings MIA.
So I'm not saying that there was a breakdown in communication, but there are two different districts working together, and we just have to do a better job.
Department spokesperson Deidrea George told us their engineers found trouble with asphalt in one eastbound lane near the river. It needed immediate fix, and one of the highway's 2 lanes closed every weekend for the next month. TxDOT got a week's notice, and combined with another district's project closer to FM 1489, 9 miles of freeway narrowed, squishing cars and trucks between concrete and barriers. One viewer stuck there 3 hours Saturday wrote us, calling it a public safety hazard.
Because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how fast you're going to move, how long you're going to be sitting there, and you may have an emergency and you're really out of luck.
That's why KHOU 11 News called TxDOT.
We thank you for bringing to our attention, and we also did receive a few calls into our office, so they're working on operations right now.
They plan to get more and better signs to warn people and officers to guide them before work resumes. Until then, it's on drivers to use a mix of drivetexas.org and TransStar maps to work out their own detours legally. Near Sealy, Larry Seward, KHOU 11 News.
President Trump is keeping up his attacks on Twitter against 4 Democratic congresswomen known as the Squad. This morning he tweeted, quote, "The Squad is a very racist group of troublemakers who are young, inexperienced, and not very smart. So bad for our country." The back and forth began just over a week ago when he first said the congresswomen should go back to the places they came from, even though 3 out of the 4 were born in the U.S. The U.S. House condemned his tweet as racist, something he denied again today.
No, there's no racial tension. Look, I had my best numbers recently, and it's because of the economy and what I've done for the African American. When you look at the African Americans are doing better than they've ever done in our country.
2 police officers in Louisiana were fired today over a Facebook post that suggested one of the members of the Squad, New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, should be shot. The Gretna officer who made the post and another officer who liked it were fired for violating the department's social media policies.
Just 2 days after we celebrated man landing on the moon, NASA is mourning a legend. The agency's first ever flight director, Chris Kraft, has died. This is an interview we did with him back in 1988. Kraft is credited with creating the concept of mission control and helping to build the nation's space program. Kraft was 95 years old. Some ride-sharing drivers are taking out their frustration on each other in a congested parking lot at Bush Airport.
It all escalated into a fist fight. The story kicks off tonight's 90-second nightcap.
Flights aren't the only things taking off at Bush Airport. Tempers are flying as well between ride-sharing drivers. And there's video of the drivers throwing punches at each other.
It's unclear exactly what the fight was over, but the 2 men end up on the ground as witnesses stand and watch.
This parking lot's not big enough for what this airport needs.
More than 500,000 people are on the streets of Puerto Rico. Loud but peaceful.
They're just fed up, they're frustrated, they're angry. They just can't take any more of what's going on.
At El Caribeño in Spring, Puerto Ricans in Houston are tracking it all on social media over a plate of their favorite island meal. Back on the island, protesters are carrying signs say Ricky renuncia. That's Spanish for Ricky resign. Here at this restaurant, a similar sentiment. They say, go Ricky go. They want him out.
Wendy Davis has moved on from seeking the office of governor to a bid for Congress. Davis is a 6-year veteran of the Texas Senate. You may recall in 2013 when she filibustered an abortion bill for 13 hours.
The Equifax breach exposed the private information of nearly 150 million people. 2 years after the breach, the credit reporting agency has agreed to a settlement of up to $700 million. That includes up to $425 million for consumers who were financially harmed and could be as much as $20,000 per claim.
Some unwanted guests have invaded a Katy neighborhood, and if you know where to look, they are hard to miss.
Yeah, they are called apple snails, some of them as big as your fist. Lauren Tallarico reports even though they're not new, they are a big problem.
Nestled along a drainage ditch in the Tamarind community, you'll find snails the size of your hand. They're called apple snails, an aggressive and invasive species whose appetite is as big as they are. They're native to South America, but started popping up in Texas in the 90s. They can do real damage to an ecosystem, and they reproduce like crazy. These pink globs are their eggs. They lay 200 to 600 at a time. They are not popular, with Texas Parks and Wildlife listed as one of the most unwanted animals in the state, urging folks to report them if they see them. The person who posted about the snails on Reddit says in the morning you can see thousands of these guys. He says he did report them and was told they'll be taken care of. Standing for Houston, I'm Lauren Tellerico, KHOU 11 News.